Iranian players not singing the national anthem of the Islamic Republic. To us, an extraordinary protest. But to the people watching at home in Iran, not nearly enough. In these tower blocks in Tehran, they're jeering the fact that the team is playing at all. These shopkeepers even cheered every time England scored tonight. The loathing for the national team illustrates the loathing for the regime.
It was really significant, I think, for the world outside to see that moments like a national team not singing the national anthem, it means nothing for the Iranian inside Iran. Iranian wanted them not to participate in a game or like take a knee or, do this sign of cutting their hair to show something much more meaningful than this.
Because the situation has got so much worse. This was Javan Rud today in the Kurdish region of Iran. Here the Revolutionary Guard was using live ammunition against anti-regime protesters. One man has been hit and is dragged to relative safety. Another is left lying on the pavement. He's been killed, they shout. Also dead Karwan Kader Shokri, a 16-year-old protester killed by the Revolutionary Guard. His mother kisses him one last time. The funeral procession has turned into a protest on the streets below and on the hillside above, the Kurdish village of Rujula. Freedom and unity for Iran, they shout. In the town of Izeh, in Zahedan province, the funeral of Kian Pir Falak. He was only 9 years old. First the regime turned on girls and young women who weaponized their hair. Now it's turning against the children. These are the faces of some of the 50 killed so far.
One thing that is obvious now is that the Iranians are not going back and they're not afraid. So for years, the protests had this pattern of Iranians are going in and trying to change something, and then they get cracked down and move back. This time, every crackdown from the government led to something more bigger from the people.
Are the events inside Iran already a revolution? Can guns silence these protests now in their third month? The regime hopes so, inspired perhaps by its allies in Syria.
Now, the actor and comedian Omar Jalili has called for England's footballers to stand in solidarity with Iranian protesters by pretending to snip off their hair when celebrating goals against Iran. I spoke to him earlier and asked if he was disappointed that they hadn't made the gesture.
Well, disappointed, but also I understand it, because in Gareth Southgate's press conference before, he said that he wasn't really informed on the situation. The Iranian team didn't tell him to do anything, which is a remarkable thing to say. You'd think he'd be watching the news, or he's been told by the FIFA authorities not to make any statements. So the fact they went with the Black Lives Matter taking the knee, which to me was a totally empty gesture when you're playing Iran. I saw the players did it very, very quickly and they were kind of embarrassed. But the most important thing there was the Iran national team did not sing the national anthem, and that sent a very powerful message to the people in Iran, which I think was very much appreciated.
Well, absolutely. Give us some context to that. Just how significant, given that any act of defiance in Iran, as we've seen to terrible effect over the last couple of months, can be life-threatening. So how significant do you think that gesture was today? How brave?
Yes, well, we just had a couple of very well-known actors, two girls, two ladies who removed the hijab and have now sided with the people. They were both arrested. Any sports person who has, shown defiance. We had Elnaz Rakabi, who was the mountain climber. She took off her hijab and then was made to retract what she said. The actual scrunch and snip, which was started by the Iranian beach soccer team when they won the beach soccer final against Brazil, those players are under house arrest. So any kind of gesture is going to be life-threatening for these players. So the fact that they did it together on a global stage is significant, because they also know that the live feed going into Iran is going to be tampered with. They're going to show a different feed. They're going to show a different images even. So I would have imagined they would have cut away, but people will see on social media. I've already seen on Instagram every single news outlet which has an Iran-specific kind of bent are sharing the fact they did not not a single one of them sang a single word of that anthem. And I think that will send a huge message to the Islamic regime.
We have seen the deaths over the last couple of months, though. We have seen tens of thousands of people take to the streets. This is yet another gesture, extremely brave, as you say. Ultimately, though, will it make any difference?
All these things chip away. I think that's the whole point. That every protest that goes out, you have to understand some of the people doing the killing, the IRGC and some of the security forces have already said, some of them have said publicly they are with the people. But because they have body cams on their suits, they have to be seen to be doing a number of punches and kicks and shooting at people because their own lives have been put into danger. Their own families have been threatened. So we're in a situation where this drip, drip feed, hopefully the winning of hearts and minds, which we're seeing, it's a psychological battle. Most revolutions are about winning hearts and minds. And it's when the military people and all the security forces, when they say, finally, we refuse to do this, I think that's when they'll be finally successful.
I just wonder, as you say, that this is an extraordinary and has been an extraordinary protest, just in numbers, in the courage of the people going out onto the streets. What do you feel when you watch that?
I feel extremely proud of the women of Iran. In Iran, they know the women are seen as animals. So for the women to survive, they have to bring down this government and smash it to pieces. And the men understand this. The men understand that the patriarchy hurts everyone.
Omar Jalili, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.